How do you liberate the leader in your students? Leadership is everyone's business, and that includes every student and young leader you have the opportunity to work with. In the Student Leadership Challenge, renowned leadership experts and authors Jim Kouzes and Barry Posner talk about leadership as the art of mobilizing others to want to struggle for shared aspirations. One of the biggest responsibilities of anyone working with young people is to help them understand themselves and the place they want to take in their world. Giving students the time, opportunity, and experiences they need to develop and practice leadership behaviors will help them become better leaders today and continue to make a difference tomorrow. More than 25 years ago, Jim Kouzes and Barry Posner asked one fundamental question. What is it you are doing when you are leading at your personal best? In years of studying, they have identified 5 of the most common practices of successful and effective leaders. What they learned about the leadership behavior of millions of people, from high school students through CEOs, creates the model that will help you liberate the leader in every one of your students. The Student Leadership Challenge has 5 clearly defined practices. Model the way, inspire a shared vision, challenge the process, enable others to act, and encourage the heart.
Modeling the way has helped me become more of an effective leader just by giving credibility to my leadership.
I can't expect others to do what I wouldn't do. I have to always be an example and show them that I am willing to do what I expect them to do.
If I do this, I have to put it into practice so then I can show other people that what I practice is what I preach.
Inspiring a shared vision has enabled me to become a better leader because what it does is it brings everybody on one accord, puts everybody on the same page, and allows us to see where it is that we're going.
Having a vision is really important, having it in mind so you can work towards it every day.
I used to be the type of leader that would identify something that I wanted to do and create the goal for everybody and expect everyone to really take on my philosophy on things. And I've really learned a lot about encouraging others to participate, and the best way to do that is to create a goal that everyone can buy into.
Challenge the process means that you're not complacent with where you're at.
Quite simply looking at the status quo and thinking that it's unacceptable. Being willing to change things that need to be changed.
Without people having the courage to challenge the process, we would be a really one-dimensional world and nothing would ever get done.
This is just giving them the tools they need, the motivation, and the knowledge to become leaders themselves.
As a leader, I always thought that the responsibility was on me, whereas I didn't realize that by dividing up powers, that is a huge component of leadership. In order to be successful in what you do, you need more than just one person.
When you encourage someone else's heart to continue doing what you've done or to go on and do their own thing, you're pushing more leaders forward. And so by being a leader and using that practice, you're encouraging other leaders to move forward with their own lives.
At the end of the day, the nice thing is if you encourage them, you'll get a better result, they'll become stronger leaders, stronger individuals, so in the long run, when they go into the community, they'll be able to make a bigger difference and they'll leave an impact on the community and society as a whole.
Through the Student Leadership Challenge model, Jim and Barry demonstrate how anyone can be a leader, regardless of age or experience. Whether you teach in a classroom or co-curricular program, advise student groups, coach, direct emerging or peer leader experiences, or work with youth groups, the 5 practices of exemplary student leadership will help you translate the concepts of effective leadership behavior into a language students will understand.
We see our students engaging in leadership as a result of learning about the practices. When students come to school, they have the skills and they have the passion, but they may not be able to name it. And learning about the leadership practices really gives them a clear sense of what they're doing.
Teaching leadership can be very difficult. And the 5 practices of the Student Leadership Challenge helps break down leadership as a whole.
One of the strengths of the Student Leadership Challenge and the Student Leadership Practice Inventory is the deep research base. Jim and I, for example, have been studying leadership and collecting personal best stories and collecting data on students for almost 3 decades now. And we've been able to demonstrate in a variety of different studies how the practices and behaviors of students as leaders make a difference in the effectiveness of their organizations and in the morale, the productivity, and the performance of student organizations. And not only have Jim and I been studying this, but other researchers, now numbering over 450, have also taken a look at this framework in their own research studies and have been able to demonstrate that this model makes a difference.
Even though there are always new challenges for schools and communities, the fundamental reason for developing student leaders has remained the same for the entire time we've been doing our work. And that is, there's a positive correlation between exemplary student leadership practices and performance in the classroom, in the community, in the school. Good leaders equals better performance. So even though we face challenges in our schools, and the context right now is one of adversity and difficulty, leadership development is not something that is just a nice to do. Leadership development is really necessary to do if we're going to develop the motivation and the skills and abilities in order to be able to continue to get extraordinary things done.
This is the most comprehensive leadership program available, in part because along with teaching students how to behave as more effective leaders, you can also measure their leadership behavior. From an easy-to-use online assessment to a suite of training programs, to resources for students and instructional materials for educators, the Student Leadership Challenge gives every student the chance to become a more effective leader. So whether you work with college students, younger school-age students, school or community programs, you can teach the Student Leadership Challenge very easily and in many ways. Nearly 250,000 young leaders around the world have already learned about and applied the 5 practices in leading their peers, teams, clubs, and service groups. In Asia, young leaders participate in a 7-stage program that spans the course of a year. In South Africa, youth experience a week-long leadership camp based on the model. In Florida and South Dakota, as with hundreds of colleges and universities, the Student Leadership Challenge plays a significant role in university-wide leadership initiatives. In Alabama, the model is integrated into graduate classes for school teachers to learn about and develop their own model programs for their high schools. And in Hawaii, a youth leadership organization works with community partners to deliver the program and conduct ongoing leadership assessment of young leaders in local schools. The Student Leadership Challenge is effective in standalone leadership programs, a series of workshops and retreats, leadership classes, and even with young leaders one-on-one. And there are a number of resources in the Student Leadership Challenge library to help accomplish your goals. The Student Leadership Challenge book brings the model to life through stories and examples of students and young leaders. The Student Leadership Practices Inventory, a 360-degree assessment, measures how frequently student leaders engage in behaviors of exemplary leadership. The Student LPI provides you and your students valuable data that can be used to increase their leadership effectiveness. Supplemental student workbooks and other student-focused materials help you tailor your programs to your specific needs. The Facilitator Guide, free online curriculum and workshop resources, along with comprehensive training programs, prepare leadership educators to develop and deliver high-quality experiences for students and young leaders. Want to learn more about the Student Leadership Challenge? Contact us.